In today's episode, we're going to talk about sizing up motivated sellers. And I brought to you a pro named Greg Helbeck. I interviewed Greg about negotiating with motivated sellers, and it was phenomenal. And I wanted you to see it. So today, we're going to plug in this interview so you can get all the verbiage and all the cues and hints and tips straight from the horse's mouth. Greg Helbeck. What a great interview. I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. I even got some golden nuggets out of this. I'm sure you will too. All right, here's Greg Helbeck and how to negotiate with motivated sellers. This is Mitch, and welcome to the 1000houses.com podcast. I'm here with Greg Helbeck, and we're going to talk about how to negotiate like a pro. So before we get to that, I got to pay the bills. So I would like to pay homage to our sponsor, LiveComm.com, LiveComm.com. And it's all about buying smartphone numbers. Every phone number has a text distribution list attached to it. And anyone who calls that phone number from their cell phone goes into that text distribution list, and you can text them at will. It's a game of lead generation plus mass texting, and that equals into sales and success. So check it out. If you want to know why I have 4 days on the market, it used to be 9, but now it's 4. I have 4 days on the market for my houses for sale. I don't put any signs out anywhere anymore. I used to, but I don't anymore because I don't have to, because all I have to do is use LiveComm and the texting and the links over to my Facebook business page, and I sell my houses within 4 days. So check it out, LiveComm.com. All right, we paid the bills, Greg. How are you doing?
I am great. It's my honor to be on the show. I listen to the show a lot, so it's cool to be a guest.
Oh, well, neat. We met a mastermind group called Multipliers, and we had a lot in common. I decided to want to get you on the podcast here and see what your thoughts are. Today, we're talking about how to negotiate like a pro. If you hang around for a little bit, we're going to give away motivated sellers checklist. So it's a list of things that you can kind of gauge to see if the person you're talking to is really motivated or they're just a waste of time. So we'll check it out here in a little bit. Stand by, you'll get it. So where are you sitting right now, Greg? What city, what state?
Yeah, so right now I'm in Middletown, New York, so about an hour north of Manhattan. Go back and forth between this Hudson Valley area, which is where Middletown is, and San Diego. So I have a couple places and able to kind of live the lifestyle, I guess they would say. So back here for now, we got a bunch of closings coming up that I'm going to get a little more involved in than usual. So yeah, starting to become spring here in New York, and it's about 65 degrees and sunny. So it's quite nice.
Okay, so tell us about your career in real estate. Where have you been? I know you're a young man. I don't know when you started out. I know it couldn't have been that long ago because you're not that old. But tell us a little bit about your backstory and how you're forging into the creative real estate industry.
Sure. So I got started when I was 20. So it was almost 6 years ago now. It's crazy. In college, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I went to a seminar. Basically, long story short, they talked about how to double close on houses. And I did not know what that was. And it sounded like something I can do. Believed the guy selling the thing on the stage, bought a course for $2,000. It was basically all my money. Actually, half of all my money. Me and my buddy split it. And I did my first deal after 9 months of like consistently taking action. From there, started kind of doing a deal every month or so-ish in New York. This is 2017, 2018 at this point. And then before cold calling and text message marketing was really mainstream, I started doing a lot of that type of marketing, and I was able to really get my cost per acquisition down extremely cheap. And I was really able to kind of capture that blue ocean before everyone started doing it. So pretty soon, I mean, by 2018, I was doing like 3 to 4 like solid wholesale deals a month. I started saving up some money, started, putting some of that money I was saving into rehabs and rentals and wholetailing. So primarily I've been a guy, flipping 3 to 5 houses a month for the last 3-4 years. Done a lot of you and Larry Higgins talk about the hairy types of properties where they're vacant houses where it's hard to find the owners. I actually listened to your podcast interview with Larry back in the day, and that got me started into doing that. So thank you for that. It's made me a lot of money, like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars from that one interview. So been able to do that. I've done a lot of direct mail, but now as we get into 2021 now, My business is a little bit different. I'm starting to scale it up slightly, but I still want to do it profitably. So it's me, an assistant, a couple virtual, me, a full-time admin, and then a couple VAs. And we handle the, the day-to-day transactional side of the business. And then on top of the buying and the selling and the rehabs, I'm picking up some rental properties now, 1 to 2 BRRRR properties a month. And I'm in the middle of taking down a small commercial property that I'm going to be just doing a quick value add and re-renting. And then ultimately going to want to BRRRR that building and be a little smarter with my income. I've been doing a lot of flips over the last couple of years, but my rental business was not that successful. Last year, I made a decision I need to commit to getting some more residual income. And I know you're the master when it comes to the seller financing. So that's another interesting strategy that's always intrigued me.
I hope you're enjoying this interview with Greg Helbeck. I know that when I finished that interview with him, I upped my resolve to better my negotiation skills and to start taking it a little more serious, knowing that there are things I can do to better my outcome of every deal. So before we proceed on with Greg Helbeck's interview, please take a nice hard look at that like button and that share button, mash on them a lot, let the world know that you like what we're doing and share it with the world. And of course, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe now. Back to Greg Helbeck and the art of negotiation. Let's talk about your negotiating with these people, and you have the idea is to size them up quickly and figure out where the hot buttons are, or if this thing's going to fly or not fly. Talk to us about that. You first get on a call with someone. How's it start?
Yeah, no, great question. So I've discovered that this whole thing in business, the 80-20 rule, right? So I looked at my trailing 20 deals. This is like 5 months ago or 4 months ago. I was like, let me look, because I was getting a lot of leads, Mitch, and I was like seeing that a lot of these sellers they weren't really open to what we had to offer, which was cash at that point. So, I started to look and I said, you know what? I bet you there's a common denominator on all these deals. So I looked at my trailing 20 deals at the time and I said, I put them all on a piece of paper and I just looked at all of them and I analyzed them. I never really spent any time doing that. And I said, out of all these deals recently that have closed, there's like 6 things that really have been, indicators that have allowed me to buy the house. So I'll just share with you what I do now. Is in order for someone in my business, at least on the wholesaling, flipping, rental property business, where you're going to have to get a property at a good price, in order for a seller to be a true lead in the business, right? Because if they're not that motivated, I have a way where I monetize that with agents. But if they want to be an investor lead, there's 6 things that I've discovered. And this goes back to all the deals that I analyzed, the trailing 20 deals. Number 1 is the seller has a real why for selling the house. They're not like, oh, I got your postcard and if at the right price, I'd sell. They have a specific reason on why they're selling. I'm moving, I inherited the house, there's taxes owed, there's in foreclosure, whatever the case is. There's some sort of story. Oh, my brother is living in the house, he's not paying rent, which is my personal favorite. Anytime you have one of those, give me a call. I'll be able to take care of them. I have a guy right now buying a house in a couple of days. He hasn't paid in 5 years. And I just was smiling ear to ear when I heard that because I'm getting a great deal on it. So there's a real why on why they're selling the property. The thing number 2 is very obvious. It's, the property is in some need of repairs or it's just a total nightmare, whether it's a grandma's house and it's old, it's never been updated, or it's a total beater, it's a tear down, but the house can use some sort of improvements to it. The third thing I've noticed was that there was some sort of a timeline on the seller. They weren't like, I'll sell whenever I want. They're like, yeah, I either want to sell right away or I want to sell within the next 6 months. So I always say with my team, my small team now, do they want to sell within 6 months or less? There's some sort of timeline around their decision. The fourth thing is that this is something that a lot of people listening, they probably get this. The seller is already admitting that they know they can get more if they list it, but they don't want to have to go through that process. They don't want to have people in their house. They don't want whatever. The fifth thing, and this is really more for New York and California where it's kind of expensive, is at least the seller's asking price initially is lower than the Zestimate. And in my area, at least, when that happens most of the time, and this is from looking at these deals, when that happens, a lot of the times that is a pretty good sign that we're going to most likely be buying that house because the Zestimate in my area is extremely accurate. And a lot of times if they're below that, there's some sort of reason. And then the last but not least is that either the property itself is vacant, or if it's an apartment building or a multi or small multi, there's at least one unit that's vacant. So there's some sort of vacancy going on with that property. So those are really the 6 things that I look at, Mitch, when I'm really now when my assistant's qualifying leads. And if they don't check 2 out of 6 most of the time, at least now, there's a low chance it's going to be a deal. and we're able to treat that lead accordingly. And that's essentially, as I say, you can't sell steak to vegans. So if someone is calling and they have no real pain whatsoever and they're not hiding anything, I've noticed at least that they're probably going to sell their house and it's going to be through a real estate agent. And I followed a lot of these deals through to the finish line. And, we're able to kind of treat that customer how they need to be treated, which is, hey, you should list your house with an agent. We can help you with that. So that's just kind of like my quick and dirty on filtering leads. And a lot of the thing I've noticed, Mitch, too, is if someone has, 2 out of 6, or let's say they have 3 out of 6, there's a high chance that it's probably going to be 4 out of 6. So I'll give you an example on a deal I recently bought. Property was vacant. The seller had a reason for selling. They inherited the property. It needed work and they wanted to sell within 6 months. They wanted to sell in like 2 months. Oh, and they also knew they could get more if they listed the house. So it was kind of like all of the things that make up, generally speaking, a cash offer, investor. It checked all those boxes off. So that is the real avatar, or at least 2 out of those 6 are the avatars I look for when I'm talking with sellers and when we're trying to, bring new deals into the business.
I think that was a fantastic interview with Greg Helbeck, and I have taken note of the 6 signs of a motivated seller. And I'm learning to grade at my office just like he is, because it makes perfect sense. So if you didn't have a chance to write all those 6 signs of a motivated seller down, why don't you go to 1000houses.com/checklist6. And that's 1000houses.com/checklist and the number 6. Or you can just click on this link, real easy. I hope you enjoyed the interview. I can't wait to see you on the next episode. Here we go.